thanks very much. No, for the people who don't know me in this room, my name's Ian Byrne. I'm so proud to stand before you tonight with this magnificent campaign. But look, before we start tonight's event and we listen to the speakers and the fantastic music and the solidarity, as a city we've had an absolutely horrific few weeks, with the murders of 4 people, including a 9-year-old girl in my constituency, Olivia. And these acts have shook our city to its core. So what I'd like tonight is just a minute's applause for the 4 people who have been taken far too early. Thank you everyone. Thank you very much. So tonight I'd like to thank everybody that supported the Enough is Enough campaign. We were in Manchester on Tuesday. Utterly magnificent night. Wonderful, wonderful place. But this is better. When we sat down 4 months ago now, I think, seemed a lifetime, to discuss this campaign and how we could fuse trade unionism, community activism, politics with 5 basic demands, we never for one moment thought we'd be where we are now, which is 500,000 people signed up in 3 weeks. A magnificent achievement, but it shows you the hunger out there to change. People are fed up with a broken system. Westminster that has left 11 million people unable to afford to put a meal on the table, while at the same time we're seeing big business making record profits. People right across this nation are fed up. We're fed up with the cuts of public services. We're fed up with the devastation that we're seeing in our communities. We're fed up with rip-off rents. We're fed up being ripped off by private utility companies. We're fed up with a welfare system designed to rob people of their dignity and that forces them into food banks. And we're fed up with how they are treated by employers who expect them to work more for less pay. Enough is enough. Now we can't rely on the establishment to solve our problems, so it's up to us in every workplace and every community to pull together like we've done tonight and begin to start and build this movement. What the Enough campaign is demanding are 5 basic, decent demands that would actually transform our society into a fairer, more just place. A real pay rise, energy bills to be slashed, an end to food poverty, decent homes for all, and tax the rich. That's not too much to ask. It certainly is not much to ask after 40 years of what we've seen taken away from us. So tonight, I want you to enjoy the night. I want you to enjoy the speakers, enjoy the music. But then, when this ends tonight, this isn't the end of your role. We need to go out in communities. We need to begin to organise through Enough is Enough, with the trade unions, pulling the community together, and we need to galvanise into a voice which is absolutely unstoppable in its demand for a fairer, more just society. So now, it gives me great pleasure to bring up a great friend. We both started in 2019, both elected as Labour MPs, and she's one of the most fearless, talented women I've ever had the privilege to meet in my life. I want to use Liverpool welcome for Zara Sultana.
And I am so honoured to be with all of you here today, so thank you so much for coming out. Whenever I come to Liverpool, it's like I'm coming home, and I know that sounds like some kind of cringe, weird shit, but in a way it truly is. Because my great uncle, who was the first member of my family to move to the UK, actually came to the docks in Liverpool when he first moved here, and actually settled here for a bit before moving to the West Midlands, where I grew up. So it's a connection that is deeply personal and still means a lot today. And I don't know if the red gives it away, but there's also a football club that I support does with fans supporting food banks. Please support the work that he's doing with Enough is Enough, and just support all the incredible causes that are in this city, many organisations that I've had the pleasure to meet as well. So now, why we're actually here. We're here because we know what's going on in our communities and we know what it's like out there. My constituents tell me of the terror they're facing, and terror is the word that they're using. Parents are terrified about the choices they're having to make, to feed their kids or to heat their homes, to heat or to eat. It's not a soundbite. It is a choice that millions of people in the country are having to make. And that's why we're all here collectively to say enough is enough. Our communities who have seen 12 years of Tory austerity are now seeing energy bills up, food prices up, fuel costs up, and the only thing that is going down are wages. It's simply unacceptable. And now 45 million people are set to be in fuel poverty this winter. 45 million. You know, there's only 60 million people in the country. It is absolutely shocking and a catastrophe like we've never seen before. And we know the term cost of living crisis is something that is only a crisis for working people, because there's a section of society who are not experiencing a crisis. In fact, they are experiencing wealth and profits like never before. It's a crisis for our class, not theirs. For them, it's record profits. It's a record number of billionaires, and it's record wealth for the top 10%. So whether it's Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak, I think we know it's Liz Truss, whoever it might be, they talk as if there's nothing they can do to stop millions of people being plunged into poverty. And it's not true. It's a lie. They're bullshitting us, and we're not going to accept it. The crisis we have isn't because there's not enough wealth. It's because those greedy fuckers, have hoarded all the wealth. It's a choice, and they've chosen their greed, not our need. And that's why, let's say it again, let's say it loud so they can hear us in Westminster or in Greece or whichever tax haven they might be holidaying in. Enough is enough. And those are the words trade unions are saying, from the RMT and the CWU leading the way. And unions, of course, don't just stand up for their members, they stand up for all of us. And this is a lesson some people in my party, and I know they're listening, need to learn. They need to learn that when workers go on strike, we stand with them. When workers go on wherever there is struggle, that's what it means. So when workers go on strike, whether it's tube drivers or office workers, whether it's firefighters or posties, it's workers versus bosses. There is a clear side, and people across the Labour Party need to pick their side, and we know which side we're on. So when the RMP go on strike and they win, when the CWU go on strike and they win, whether it's the UCU, the FBU or Unite, whenever trade unionists go on strike, we all win. We are all made stronger from their wins, and we stand in complete solidarity. And as a Labour MP, not controversial, I'm going to stand always in solidarity with them. And as important as strikes are, which they are, we know that we can't combat and solve this crisis with strikes alone, because this crisis stretches from food poverty and kids going hungry, to shoddy housing and rip-off landlords, to rocketing bills and fossil fuel companies making billions. So this campaign is about uniting our fight. It's about trade unions and community groups. It's about MPs and activists speaking up where our political class is silent and demanding our rights. A real pay rise, slashing energy bills and bringing utilities into public ownership. Again, not controversial. We've won the argument on public ownership, and now let's just get it done when we get into government. It's as simple as that. To ending food poverty and guaranteeing decent housing for all, and making the super rich finally pay their fair share. They have exploited this crisis and the previous crises that they have caused, the financial crisis, got away with it. Not this time. We're going to make them pay. And these demands aren't radical. You're not radical. I'm not that radical. They're simple, they're wildly popular, and it's about time that the political establishment embrace them. And we know that, the political class never do anything out of the goodness of their heart. They're not going to just hand us these on a silver plate. We have to fight for them. So everyone in this room, we have a job to do. We need to make sure that at the end of this rally, it's not just something we disappear from. We organise in our communities, we join a trade union if we're not in one, we support tenants unions, we support organisations like BAM supporting food banks, because no one is standing up for the needs of the many, and it's about time someone did, and that's on all of us. So thank you so much, in solidarity.
Thanks, Adam. Inspirational. I think with the Enough We Love campaign, what we wanted to do was create both political education, raise awareness, and bring different speakers onto the platform. So, what we've got now is Dave Hughes, who's the commercial director of Liverpool Restaurants, one of the main restaurants in the city. And what we wanted to do was just get Dave's take on what's actually going to happen if political decisions are made by the new Prime Minister, and the catastrophic effect that it'll have on the economy, both in this city and indeed the country. So Dave's going to take a few minutes to just explain the pressures they're facing within that industry.
Well, first of all, thanks Ian and the invite to sort of try and give you a bit of perspective of what it's like running a small business. We own a great restaurant called New Man. And what does that mean for a city like Liverpool that's built on hospitality? Our renaissance in the last 25 years has been around hospitality. We have one of the best hospitality offerings, not just in the UK but in the world. So we're really proud of the city. These are very real challenges that we face. You know, the government is sat there now, and we have energy companies making record profits, and that means record poverty. That's what's happening. That's what we're seeing. You we've got staff coming to us because they can't pay their bills. They come into work early, because they can sit there and they can get a drink with us, they can get a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and some lunch. We will always do those things because that's what good businesses do. But there comes a point for us when there's nothing left. There's nothing left for us because we've got nowhere else to turn. COVID, hit the whole of the country, not just the country but the world. Hospitality was one of the worst hit. We're laden with debt. We're laden with bounce back loans and CBILS and all these things, all these words. What does that really mean? What that means is that for the last 6 months in my business, I've not been paid. My team come before me, they will always come before me. And you accept that when you're a business owner. You really do, you have no problem with that. But there comes a point when you think, why am I bothering? And the reality is that the government needs to step in, and they need to step in and help businesses right across the board, because if they don't help businesses, we're going to have records of employment across the industry. And that's not just hospitality, that's going to be all suppliers. We're just going to see this catalyst sort of job loss overnight. And I have to say, I think the Tories want it. I really do. Causes more problems for society, more alcoholism, more problems for our hospitals. So we need to look at society and understand about how we get out of a society that talks to each other, a society that looks after each other. Liverpool in particular looks after its own. And I think tonight, seeing all of you here tonight, you should give yourself a round of applause. Just finally, I just want to say to you, Ian, I've seen a lot of nonsense recently around about Ian, about whether he should stay in his role. This is one of the best MPs the city's ever had. Even if it's a red shite.
Thanks, David. And I think we need to hear all voices. We need to hear from every section of society how they're going to be facing this impending tsunami. And it's really important that we support our good local businesses. It really is. So, thanks very much, David. Right, I'm going to bring on Paul Fleming, who's the General Secretary of the Equity Union. I heard Paul speak the other week, he was absolutely fantastic. And I do believe Paul's going to announce that to join them with the Enough is Enough campaign equity. So, stage is yours, Paul.
Hello, comrades. Equity's National Executive is considering on Tuesday whether they should affiliate to Enough is Enough. So they asked me to come and find out whether Liverpool has had enough. Has Liverpool had enough? So Equity's some people say we're a weird union, right? We're 47,000 people. And they're actors, directors, dancers, stage management, clowns, burlesque artists, ventriloquists, the whole gamut. And sometimes people don't quite get why we are a trade union or why our people need that collective protection. But let's have a think about what our movement's about. Let's have a think about what every trade union does. Every trade union is there to ensure that working people can flourish and become artists. They're there to make sure that they've got stable pay and a good education and a work-life balance and free time to discover and develop, not as a number on a balance sheet, but as credible, flourishing artists, as human beings. The mission of every trade union is to make sure that working people can be artists. And that's the same with Equity. But we've got an extra edge, because we're there to make sure that artists also have dignified working lives when they get there. And sometimes we hear our members, they're decrying. They're a load of lovies and they're whinging and they don't understand what it's about. Well, I'll tell you this, 90% of our members earn under £10,000 a year. That is appalling. And when people go out and consider whether they can have a career in the arts, do they seriously think it's something for them? Is it something available to ordinary working class people in communities up and down this country? No. And I'll tell you for why. Because working class people in this country are excluded from telling their stories on stage and on screen and on microphones again and again and again. And if you look at this incredible city and some of the incredible artists they have produced, let's talk about Ricky Tomlinson, one of our amazing members. Somebody who came and was born of this city and has proudly told his stories as a trades unionist time after time after time. Can he exist in 2022? People ask me, why is a union of 47,000 actors and dancers out there on a picket line with the RMT? Well, I'll tell you for why, because that RMT dispute is about the money in the pockets of people so they can afford a Netflix subscription, so they can go to the pictures, so they can go to the theatre, and God forsake it, yes, the opera and the ballet and everything else. We lived through a pandemic where 40% of our members did not receive a single penny from furlough or self-employed income support. 40% of 47,000 people in a sector that's worth more to the British economy than banking. And why is it worth more than banking? It's worth more than banking because it's about people and stories. It's about the lives we lead. And that's why we're saying enough is enough. We're not saying enough is enough just because we don't like the gas bill going up. Not because we just don't like where we are in the here and now. Because the fundamental structure of society has gone wrong. We have had enough. We've had enough of whose stories are told, enough of who can afford to be an artist, enough of who is privileged to stand in front of people day after day and night after night. And I'm going to leave you with this glimmer of hope, because we can stand here and rant about how bad the system is as much as we like. But the glimmer of hope is in our movement and in our unions. In Equity, 85% of the people you see on stage are a trade union member. 70-odd% of people you see on screen, they are trade union members. Our average age of membership is 28. These are young, dynamic, diverse people, and they, like you, have had enough. Thank you very much, Liverpool.
I told you he was good.
And look, as I said, it's an absolute privilege to be in the company of everyone here tonight. In my beloved hometown of Liverpool, you know, we're extremely proud to be holding this rally here and a fantastic turnout. And I just want to start reading out the words of a person who was humbled to meet at Tuesday's event in Manchester Cathedral. And I'm sure you've all seen the video. And what she said to me, I'm a dinner lady in Lancashire, and just before the summer holidays when the cost of living crisis really started kicking off, I just noticed I spent as much time taking food away from children as I do serving it. And to be honest, it's not what I took the job for. I never dreamt that I would be having to tell children, you can't have that, there's no money in your account. Listening to this wonderfully kind human being who was actually in tears telling me that story about children unable to afford the dinner fees, I've never heard a more powerful summary of how the system is completely broken. Completely broken. Millions of people are worried if they will freeze or starve in their homes. How can that be right in the sixth richest country in the world? I'll say it again, the system is absolutely broken for millions of people in this country. Enough is enough. We must seize this moment to become better for this and future generations. Tonight is about saying enough is enough. This city is built on collective working class solidarity like no other city in the country, indeed no other city in the world. And my God, we are going to need it over the coming months to cope with what we're going to cope and what our communities are going to face. This campaign, along with others, will supply the strength in our communities to demand a better future for this and future generations. Comrades, let's get out there, let's build, fight for an equal, a just and a different world. Enough is enough, Liverpool. Solidarity. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Elise Marie Lally onto the platform tonight. She's an activist in the PCS union. She's an absolute fantastic young female trade unionist, and she's a massive defender of the working class. This is the first time she's been on something like this before, so let's give her a huge Scouts welcome.
Evening, colleagues. My name's Elise and I'm the secretary of a small but mighty PCS branch. We represent members across Liverpool and Durham. I think I'm supposed to talk to you tonight about how we encourage young people to get more involved in trade unions. But to be honest, I haven't got the answer. To tell you the truth, I fell into being a union rep. A good comrade of mine thought I'd be a decent rep. I joined PCS when I was 22, fresh out of uni and in my first big girl job. And when I say I was terrified at that first branch meeting, didn't understand the word the chair was saying, I used to actively avoid him. 5 years later he avoids me. I didn't understand politics, policies or legislation. I didn't even really understand what our work was about. I still don't sometimes. But if you strip that back and you speak to the members on the ground and you realise that all our working class, we all share the same worries and anxieties, how we pay our bills, how we feed our children, and more generally, being respected, appreciated, and kept safe at work. Bear with me. So I can't tell you how we can get more young members involved. Like I said, I haven't got the answers, but I can tell you how rewarding it is. The feeling when you've helped someone to exercise their rights and find their voice, and watching as that confidence and solidarity spreads across a workforce. As a trade unionist supporting key workers through the pandemic, we were often told that it was our civic duty to keep each other safe. This was so that employers could share the responsibility and apply the bare minimum in health and safety measures. It was clear then that they'd done their bit and we'd been on our own since. That was the last time this country was forced to grind to a halt, and make no mistake, it was the working class that pulled us out of that mess. We're holding the hands of the dying, and our teachers helped us to maintain the vital routines of our children, and the posties were going above and beyond to deliver essential supplies to people who hadn't seen a soul in weeks. And whilst we were helping each other up and doing our best to mend society, big greedy corporations whose profits had soared amidst global devastation were waiting to further exploit our labour and feast on our goodwill, and they've been doing it since. What's happening here tonight and in Glasgow, London, Manchester is the start of a new movement, and we should be joined by the leader of the opposition. I forget his name, but he should be here. He should be at the heart. And he should be standing by striking workers. But unfortunately, we can't make us fair socialists, so we'll have to stand together. We'll stand together, shoulder to shoulder, with a common goal to redistribute wealth from billionaires like Hinduja Global Solutions, who've offered PCS members a derisory pay rise despite them being number one, that's number one, on the Times 100 rich list. 28.4 billion. They're taking the piss out of us. We must fight now to get those profits. We must fight now to get those profits landed where they belong, in the pockets, on the tables, and in the mouths of our workers and their families. Socialism might be silenced in Parliament, but it won't be silenced on our streets. We've had a long hot summer of strikes, and it makes me so happy to see young people joining picket lines, and absolutely delighted to start seeing results. But we're headed into a bleak winter, and the need for collective action is greater than ever. Our neighbours are choosing between heating and eating, and all around the UK, our brothers and sisters are being hit with real serious pay cuts. We've already proven that when we fight, we can win. But what we need now is a domino effect of industrial action from nurses and teachers, barristers and baristas, everyone else standing together. We need it. And should this country grind to a halt again, then so be it, because I think it's our civic duty to unite together, to organise and to keep each other safe from those trying to profit from our misery. It's time to send a message to the bosses that we're worth more and we're coming for more. For any PCS members in this crowd who ballot in 3 weeks, this year, let's get what we deserve. Comrades, enough is enough. See us on the picket line.
I think she was bullshitting me when she said she hadn't got this before. Absolutely fantastic, and that's exactly what this movement's about. It gives me a huge amount of pleasure to welcome our next speaker. He's been an absolute breath of fresh air with his boss, Mick Lynch. He represents obviously the RMC, but he represents the working class in this country. The way he's articulated the message of hope and of fighting back has been an absolute joy to behold on the media. He's made an absolutely huge difference to the movement in this country, and he's hugely responsible for you being here now and what we're building across this country. So without any further ado from me, it's a great pleasure to welcome Eddie Dempsey.
Before we kick off properly, I must say something. Behind me is a beautiful banner of my Liverpool 5 branch of the RMT. And most of their people are out there helping steward in this event here tonight. So give them a round of applause, Liverpool 5. And on that banner behind me, they commemorate the transport strike of 1911. And on the back of it, you can't see it, is an image of Tom Mann, who led the strike committee. And I often say that the RMT Union, which has got a pedigree going back over 150 years, despite all of that, was born in this city in 1911, outside this room. When the transport workers of this city, down near Toms in 1911, there was a famous telegram that was sent out to railway workers up and down this country. And it was called the Liberty Telegram. And it said, railway workers, strike now, strike for your liberty. Loyalty to each will mean victory for all. And in that moment, the spirit of the RMT Union was born in this city. So solidarity in Liverpool. The lesson that we learned in that dispute lives with us today, and it was this: we are stronger united than we are divided. The strength of all of us together is far more powerful than any of us could be on our own. And that is why our motto in the RMT is unity is strength. We, brothers and sisters, are at a turning point. For all of my life, all of the gains that working class people have made in this country have been degraded and taken away from us. Our NHS is being privatised. Our council houses were sold off. Our education system was commodified. And now we've seen falling wages in this country for more than 30 years. And at the same time, profits have really not exceeded inflation in that time. Right now, we have got a system where we've got more billionaires than we've ever had, where the rich have never been richer, and we are worried about our old people and whether they're going to be kept warm this winter. We're worried about our children. Are they going to have full bellies? We're worrying about the vulnerable in our society. Are we going to be able to look after them? And we're worried about all of us. How are we going to be able to retire in dignity in a country that no longer respects the work of ordinary people? Now we have got a political class, though they are elected by me and you, do not represent the interests of the ordinary people in this country. They represent the interests of multinational corporations that own our railways, that own our health service, that own our housing, that own our education system, that impoverish us and take money out of this country and put them in tax havens far away where we'll never see the light of day. And I say, enough is enough. They want you to feel like you have got no power. They want you to feel like you're on your own and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, let me tell you this. On the 15th and on the 17th of September, we're going to show the media, the government, the corporations and everyone in this country who really has the power, because RMT members are going to stop this country moving unless we get a deal. We are no longer going to tolerate a situation where we've got 177 billionaires in this country with a combined wealth of over 750 billion, when our children are hungry, when our old people are worried about their bills, and when people who are in work are in poverty and going to food banks. No more. That's over. It is over. Let me tell you, it is over. Right now there is a change. I know you can feel it. I can feel it. People are not prepared to suffer this anymore. And all we have got to do is stand together, brothers and sisters. If we put our arms around each other and we don't let them divide us, we can show them that we've got the power. This is our country. It is not a plaything for the corporations, and we will make sure that our children are fed, that they're educated, that the people we love, our older people, that they're warm in winter, that they're looked after, that the sick who need help are cared for in our NHS, that the people who are vulnerable have got the support they need. And by God, we're going to have the beer cold in summer, and we're going to do it together, because enough is enough. So I'm going to finish on this. I have never been prouder to hold an RMT membership card in my pocket than I am today, because I'll tell you why. We have got a government, some of the biggest corporations on the planet, a hostile media, all of them lined up against our members, ordinary workers. And our members have said, you know what, bring it on, we're not frightened here. If you want to take us on, we'll fight. And if you want to take on the police, we'll fight with them. And if you want to take on the nurses and the care workers, we'll fight with them. You're not going to divide us anymore. So coming together is important, and sharing our commonality is important, but what we've got to do next is even more important than this. After the words have been spoken, and after we've felt the mood that we need to make a change, we've got to take the next step. And the next step is that we have got to come together as a class in this country and take collective action together on the picket lines and through other forms of action to drive the politicians. If these people, with the exceptions of the brave and well-meaning politicians we've got us with here tonight, who are an example, and asking to give them a round of applause, by the way, these are the real politicians. But if the rest of them think that they're going to hoodwink us again and keep looking after people at the top, then it's the people in this country who are going to force them to do what's right, because we say enough is enough. Solidarity, Liverpool. Let's fight.
Along with myself and Robbie Daniels, who's over there by the bar, he co-founded Fan Support Food Banks. So it's to be a pleasure on the eve of the derby to welcome Dave Kelly, my blue convey.
What a magnificent building this is. What a venue. But we've got to bear in mind that this is our building. It belongs to the working class people of this city. It's ours. Studying this afternoon, putting banners up, really proud. I look around at the splendour. There wouldn't have been a brick set, a nail knocked in, a door hung, a piece of glass put on, a window, without the solidarity of the working class people in this city. I don't want to be coming away from brothers tomorrow with a man full of food either. Now I do want a man of food because I am greedy, but I'll tell you what else I want. I want anyone who's going to match tomorrow who wants to get involved in this Enough is Enough campaign. Come and see us, come and speak to us, come and agitate, come and organise, come and get out involved, and let's have it on. To volunteer at the Celtic Food Bank. And that's something that's very dear to us, because I'm telling you now, hunger isn't red or blue or black or white. It doesn't have a religion, it doesn't have a race, it doesn't have a sexual preference or a gender. Hunger doesn't discriminate, and neither do we. Solidarity, brothers and sisters.
So next up, I want to introduce Siobhan Taylor-Ward, who's a housing solicitor at the Vauxhall Law Centre who we use and we fund, and she's also chair of Liverpool Acorn, who are the key partner in Enough is Enough. Siobhan's a fantastic advocate for housing that we deserve as a class. So without any further ado, I want to bring Siobhan on.
Community Law Centre. I'm also a member of the Liverpool Launch Acorn Tenants and Community Union, and I'm also a private renter myself. We're really grateful to have this opportunity to speak to you tonight about some of the issues we're facing in our city as renters and just as ordinary people trying to get through the day. We're also really excited to be part of this collective effort to fight against the current tsunami of harm we're living through and to raise our voices together to tell this government and all of those with power that enough is enough. Vauxhall Law Centre is a community law centre. We've been operating in our community in North Liverpool for almost 50 years. We provide free legal advice and representation to all those in our city who have needed it, and our services change as needs develop. We've gone from offering a lot of advice on employment matters and industrial injuries claims to providing specialist advice on death, welfare benefits, housing and specific advice to migrants. Our days are spent battling with rich landlords and debt collecting organisations and massive public authorities and government bodies. We see every day the impact that the current crisis is having upon us all, whilst at the same time often wondering where the next grant is going to come from to keep our service running. As a housing solicitor and a private renter, my life is filled to the brim with housing chaos, housing woes, housing related deaths, lack of housing, poor quality housing, overpriced housing, unstable housing and housing that makes us sick. As a very few people of all ages, genders, races and sexualities have truly suitable homes that are affordable and secure. As working people, people receiving benefits, asylum seekers, pensioners and students, our interests align far more than many loud voices currently want us to realise, and our voices are stronger when we raise them together as one. Acorn is a national and community union which represents the interests of renters and working class and low income households, and we have thousands of members across the UK. We keep our communities at the heart of everything we do. We fight for members against landlords and act as a collective because there is both power and safety in numbers. In 2019 we set up our Liverpool branch because we were so frustrated with the tools we had available to us to make things better. Since then we've blocked bailiffs, turned around abusive landlords mid-legal evictions, helped tenants obtain compensation and repayments from landlords who have failed to properly provide safe and comfortable homes. We've worked whilst local communities continue without any real and lasting stake in this society. This has got to change, and we are ready to work together to change it. We demand a reasonable and urgent cap on rent. We demand building of 100,000 plus council homes every year. We demand scrapping of the right to buy. We demand no return to foreclosures. We demand insulated homes. We demand a charter for renters' rights. Though it seems that right now political parties are not the answer we need them to be, we believe that communities of people working together for the betterment of our society can be that answer. I spoke to a colleague yesterday. I asked her if she was coming tonight and she told me she was. We talked about how bad things were right now, but then she said there's hope, yes. I can see there's hope coming. And I thought, if she can keep hoping and fighting and using her expertise to help our communities, even now, after decades of struggle, then I can keep hoping too. Because where there's times of hope, there's fight. It feels like we never had it so bad in so many ways, and so now is the time to fight. Enough is enough, and we will not let this continue.
Thanks, Siobhan. And I think there's many members of Acorn here that have been absolutely fantastic in building this campaign. Next, we're not getting along to introduce the next person. She's an absolute legend. She's come from our communities. And she's been on a really long and varied journey, which I'm sure she'll outline. But now, she's one of the gems in this city. She's someone we're absolutely proud of every time she steps into a ring and steps onto the stage. Enough is enough. It's so proud to have the wonderful Molly McCann as an advocate. Molly.
I think there's only one way we start, isn't it? It's a bit of a mad one, this one for me, so obviously I'm not a politician, I'm very, very far from it. I'm not very aware of many policies. I wouldn't be able to ever stand in the Houses of Parliament because I'd probably end up knocking in the fuck out.
Lights up!
I know! But I can tell you probably why I've been asked to speak today. I can tell you what I am. I'm a fucking Scouser. I was born in Passach, I was raised in Norris Green. I am a child from poverty. I understand what poverty is. I grew up, we had no heating, we had no food. I was saying before, there was times when I had to eat bags of sugar because that's all that was in the pantry. When I grew up, I remember so many happy things, and you know what they were and why they were? It was because of the people in this city. They showed love, compassion, unity, solidarity. If one of us didn't have any fucking food, any bread, any milk, you'd knock on your neighbour's fucking door and they'd look after you. And that's what this is. It's taught me a few things. It's taught me that never leave no food left on my plate because my mum will probably kill me. The main thing it's taught me is that I would never want another child in this city or this country to feel how I fucking felt as a kid. Why I'm so passionate about this. Athletes, sports stars, we're told, don't get involved in politics. Don't speak about that, you won't have a career. How do you like me now?
I like you, Molly!
I'd just like to say I'm so passionate about this city and everything about it. I think everyone knows the work that I do with Weapons Down, Gloves Up. I just want to take this time to educate everyone on that. It's an initiative that's run in this city. It's run for kids from the age of 16 to 24. Our goal is to get kids out of the streets, fucking off the gun crime, fucking off the knife crime, stop being a divvy selling drugs. Even though most people take them. What I'm after is, I want to get them in the boxing gym. It was martial arts, it was routine, it was grassroots fucking coaches who didn't spend time with their families because they was out saving our lives, changing our lives, giving us routine, teaching us life skills and teaching us how to change our own lives. That's what we do in the first 4 weeks. The second 3 weeks we get them ready for a CSCS card, and then we get them, the last week we teach them how to, what's the word? Job interview, go to interviews. Sorry, I've got proper Gandhi's flip-flop on. We get them ready for interviews,
and then we have them a job. So I don't know if you're aware how many initiatives are out there to give our people, our Scouse people, our kids 100% a job at the end. We have 100% completion rate. So that means every child who's passed through our initiative has got a job, and we've got a 93% retention rate at the end. There's not much left of that. I like to talk about poverty because that's the struggle that we're in, isn't it? Poverty means people make choices they wouldn't normally make. Kids might be getting sent to county lines, people are using weapons or guns to rob, to steal, to feed the family. This is nothing new for us as a city. We've always faced oppression from the government. This is why we always come together. We always show who we are. We're proud of who we are. We're working class backgrounds, working class effort, and we have an inability to fucking give up. Right, I've got 2 pages left. I'm going to have to read off the page as well in case I fuck it up. But thank you, I'm very nervous. This means more to me than fighting this, because this isn't about me, this isn't about you, this is about us all. And honestly, it means the word that we're all fucking out here trying to make a change.
Love you, Molly! Love you, Molly!
This is a war on the working classes. We might not look the same, we might not sound the same, there's a few wolves in here. We might not even support the same footy teams up the fucking top. But what matters is that we come together, we stand together, we fight the fucking establishment, and we don't cross them picket lines. We get behind the unions. Right, last page. I've got a few big words in this one as well.
Come on, Molly!
I feel like Forrest Gump. It's really imperative that we keep pushing forward. Scouse is a proof of it. If we keep showing up, if we keep knocking on the door and making the gobshite answer to the wrong that we're doing, we can get them out. It's not going to be easy. It's never easy. Lost my train of thought there. It's never easy, is it? But there's 2 quotes on which I want to finish. My mum once said to me, don't want to fluff it up, and it's not even a hard one. Don't give up before the miracle's about to happen. We never thought Thatcher get fucked up. We never thought Boris would get fucked up. But here we are. Don't give in before the miracle's about to fucking happen. And I've got one more. This is my last one. It's an African proverb. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Let that resonate with you. We're talking about our kids in our community that the government doesn't give a flying fuck about. Our councils, I don't even think they're that arsed. It's taken us, the people, to change the fucking situation. We cannot give up on our kids. We've got 3 people we need to give or groups that we're going to give a round of applause to, but at the end, the railway workers of the RM. The posties, what the CW to all our dockers back in the day and right now. Four last things. Don't cross a picket line. Second thing, join the union. Third thing, don't bet up the Toffees. Fourth thing, fuck the fucking Tories.
Last speaker of the night, one of the great trade union leaders of our time. He's leading a dispute now, which I'm sure he'll talk about. Well, on many occasions I've sat down and listened to this man and just his wisdom, his decency, and what he's doing for our movement at the moment. He's an integral part of Enough is Enough. He's the leader of the CWU. Unfortunately, he's a Chelsea fan, but he's a wonderful, wonderful man. Thank you all.
Thanks so much for so many of you coming out tonight to support this campaign. And I'm going to say to you that this week I'm bringing solidarity greetings from communication workers, union members, postal workers, telecom workers, post office workers, all standing together. Are you standing with them? One of the proudest days of my life, last Wednesday, because when I joined the post office back in 1976 as a telegram boy, in fact I think I might have delivered that telegram that Eddie was talking about earlier on. When I joined, the GPO, as it was then, we all worked in the same company. We were all part of the same company. And then privatisation and those greedy, bullshitting bastards in the boardrooms and in government took it all away, broke it up. Well, last Wednesday, we put it all back together again. 170,000 workers out on strike. You know why? You know why they were out on strike? Because they are sick to death. They've had enough of the hypocrisy and the greed after putting everything they could have put in during the pandemic. They got rewarded by an imposed pay deal. Our BT members, our posties, our post office members, all the same arguments. You need to listen to some of the numbers to show the greed and go out and tell people what this is really about. Those hard-working people, the railway workers, all of us, in our companies, they made record profits during that pandemic. BT made £1.3 billion. They gave away, chose to give away, over £700 million of that to shareholders. And then the CEO, he took an increase of 32% in his salary when he imposed a flat rate increase way below inflation. Enough is enough. The people who are running Royal Mail have gone behind the backs of the workforce. They've gone behind the backs of the public. And whilst our members were out there keeping the company going during the pandemic, they were having dirty secret talks with a private equity investment company based in Luxembourg to take over Royal Mail. Enough is enough! Let me say, it is such a great pleasure to come to this city and bring this Enough is Enough campaign to all of the working class solidarity and the principles and values that run right throughout everybody in this city. It's proud to bring it to you, but we need you now. We need you. And I'm going to set out what we've really got to do here. What we've really come here for. Because we need your working class values. We need that solidarity, that community spirit. We need to catapult this campaign across every town, every city, and we need to bring people together like never before. I'm sick and tired. 3 daughters I've got. One of them works as a midwife. I'm sick and tired of seeing how hard she works for people and how poorly she is being treated by this government. Hang on! I'm sick and tired of seeing my daughter, who's a teacher, who cares about people, wants to go out there and help people, being treated so poorly by this government. Enough is enough. And my other daughter, who left the NHS because there was too much pressure on her. She decided to join the police force. I don't know what happened there. I tried to talk her out of it, but she wasn't having any of it. But it's the same. You know, it doesn't matter where you work at the moment in the UK. Modernisation, so-called phony modernisation, is a byword now for burning out workers, for basically saying work is about working harder and faster for less. Why is it that the people at the top, they've conned us for too long now, they go with this argument that says, well, if you want the best, if you want someone to lead a company, you've got to pay them top dollar. But when it comes to the workers, it's pay them the least you can get away with because there's plenty more just coming. Enough is enough. We can't have that mentality going on anymore. I've been so inspired recently by listening to frontline workers, by listening to community organisations that are doing their absolute best to change things, help people. They're inspiring us all. And this guy, Eddie Dempsey, who's over there, he's like a working class philosopher. And he's made Nick Lynch, he's like a working class economist. And I'd say this in absolute truth. I've got mates, the same mates that I met many, many years back in our football teams when I was a postie at Tooting Delivery Office. I meet them about every 4 or 5 weeks, and I tell them, you are cleverer than any boss I've ever come across, you're cleverer than any politician I've come across, and you should be running the country. So look, where are we going with this? We're going to lay out a few things to set this moving forward. This can't be. We want this to succeed. It's a serious point here. This can't be put your head down and run at them and make all the mistakes that often we do on the left because we want change. We have got to broaden this campaign. Your job is to go out and get 10, 20, 30 people who are not here tonight, who are your family, your friends, to sign up to this campaign. Are you going to do that? And then, you know, change is not a spectator sport. It's not about talking about it, it is about action. And that's why, in a few weeks' time, we are going to announce forms of collective action that every person in the UK, that every worker in the UK, whether they're in the union or not, they can participate in that action. You up for that? We're going for this because I keep thinking, every time I go home, 7 grandchildren, I look at them and I think, I ain't done all of this for these people to take the piss out of working class people anymore. Got to stop. This campaign is about building a social movement because there's no political leadership at the moment. Fuck the Tories, kick them out, definitely. But Labour has got to be driven into a position where they stand up for working people by this movement. So look, I think you're up for it, aren't you? We are in a moment here that is never going to come around again. It's a huge moment. I've never seen the sort of struggles coming at you from all angles that millions and millions of people are facing in the UK. But do you know what? There's a different mood out there now. You can feel it. I felt it when I got off the train. I've got to tell you this story. I got on the train at Euston this morning, coming up to Liverpool. And just as I was about to sit down, the announcement said, is there a Mr. D. Ward on the train? I thought it was the missus saying, come back quick. Can you come down to the first carriage? I went down there, and it was an RMT train manager who found me wallet. And the first thing he said, as I was saying, oh, thanks mate, something like, I didn't realise I'd lost it, he went, You're the Dave Ward of the Communication Workers Union, aren't you? I'm RMT, we're with you. And I said to him, mate, there's so much we do you don't know. There's a different mood, I'll finish on this. There's a different mood because people have finally realised that it doesn't matter what the crisis is. It can be the 2008 financial crisis, it can be the pandemic, it can be the current cost of living crisis, it can be the climate emergency. There's only one certainty: if we don't do something about it now, it is always working class people who pay the price. Enough is enough!